Ladies and gentlemen, we're about 15 minutes away from giving away our next $100. Hi there. We give away $100 at the top of every hour following a quick 10 to 12-minute presentation on car care tips for women. So come on into the GM display. If you haven't already done so, fill out your information cards at either of our tables here. Grab your goodie bag and come grab a seat, because we will get started at 1 o'clock and we'll make somebody $100 richer. So it could be you. Come on in.
It's 94, way older than mine. Runs best run car out there.
You see Amy. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Amy, and I'd like to welcome you to the GM Goodwrench display. You're probably wondering what GM Goodwrench is doing at a Women's Expo. Well, the reason that we're here is because we have a lot of great car care tips and maintenance tips for you, and we just want everybody to feel comfortable with their vehicle and its maintenance needs. Now, just so you know, all the topics that I cover apply to any vehicle, and that is whether you drive a GM or not, so you can keep that in mind. So with that being said, let's get started. Now, at about $2.90 a gallon, who here would like to get better gas mileage? Right? It's kind of a no-brainer. So I'm going to try to give you some tips to help you do that. Now, first, let's talk about tire pressure. Does tire pressure have anything to do with gas mileage? Yes, it absolutely does. Let me give you an analogy. Does anybody ride a bicycle or have a child that rides a bicycle? Well, if you have a bicycle and you love it, you ride it all the time, but inevitably life takes over. You have meals to plan, homes to take care of, work, kids. So you might not get to ride your bicycle as much as you'd like. It gets put away for about a month or so in your garage. And inevitably, one day down the line, you do have a free day. So you pull your bicycle out, you jump on, you start to pedal, and it's really hard to get those pedals to turn. You think, am I really this out of shape? It's only been about a month. Well, you're not that out of shape. It actually has to do with loss of tire pressure, or your tires might even be flat. Now, it's the same thing with the tires on your vehicle. If your tires are below the recommended level of pressure, it means that your engine has to work harder to turn those tires to get the momentum that your vehicle needs to get down the road. And that means if your engine's working harder, you're using more gas, and that's spending more money. Now, for each pound of underinflation, it reduces your fuel efficiency by 1%. Well, 1%, that really doesn't sound like a lot, but remember you have 4 tires. What if each of those tires were 3 to 4 pounds underinflated? Well, now you're talking about a higher percentage of lost fuel efficiency. And also, underinflation is the #1 cause of tire damage. So it's really important for us to check our tire pressure. Now, when is the best time to do that? Right after you've driven or after your vehicle's been sitting for a while? Sitting for a while. You want to make sure that you check your tire pressure when your vehicle is cold or it hasn't been driven in about 3 hours. The reason is when you're driving, your tires are turning, the pressure inside expands. So if you stopped and immediately took your tire pressure reading, it would be false. So just be sure you haven't driven in about 3 hours. Now, when we take our tire pressure, how do we know what our tire pressure is supposed to be? Where do we get that information? On the tire, that's one place. Driver's side door panel, I heard that. Owner's manual, that's right. Also, sometimes there's a flip-up console in the center of your vehicle. But I will say this, it's not the recommended spot to get your tire pressure off of your tire, ironically. And the reason is this, that tire might not have originally come with your vehicle when it was brand new, so it won't speak to the exact weight of your vehicle. So the best place is always your owner's manual or somewhere on your vehicle. Now, equally important is alignment of your tires. Now, misaligned tires can cause a 10% reduction in your fuel economy. So if you're supposed to get 30 miles to the gallon, you're only going to get 27 miles to the gallon. So there you are spending money that you don't have to. And also, misaligned tires can cause an uneven tread wear. Also important, rotating your tires properly. If you do rotate your tires properly, it will prolong the life of your tires. And GM Goodwrench recommends that you do rotate your tires every 6,000 to 8,000 miles. But again, your owner's manual is the best place to find what's best for your vehicle. And I'll give you another analogy. Now, we all have our favorite pair of shoes, right? Ones that we wear all the time, more than the others. They seem to match everything. Well, if you took those shoes and you flipped them upside down and you looked at the soles of your shoes, maybe they're more worn on the inside than, say, the outside. Well, what if you could rotate those shoes? Right shoe on the left foot, left shoe on the right foot. You walk around like that for a little while, you're going to even out the wear on your soles and you can wear those shoes longer. And by the way, that's not a recommendation. Please don't do that. You'll probably fall. People will laugh and point. So we're just letting you know it's really important to rotate your tires properly. Now, can anybody tell me the test that you do to check the tread wear on your tire? Anybody know the test? What did you say? The penny test. Yes. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's actually called the penny test. You take a penny and you flip it upside down, so President Lincoln is standing on his head. You go right over to your tire, and you place that penny right down into the tread of your tire. If the tread does come up to the top of President Lincoln's head, you do have a little bit more life left in your tire. Now do be sure to check it in 3 separate places on your tire because of that uneven tread wear we were talking about. Now next I want to talk to you about something extremely important and something you don't want to skimp on, and that is your brakes. Now as we all know, your brakes are your full stopping mechanism of your vehicle. If you're depressing that brake pedal and your vehicle is not stopping on a dime like it should, go ahead and take it in and have it checked. Better to check it sooner rather than later. It could be something easy to fix and expensive to fix, and it'll probably save you less money if you check it now rather than waiting on it. Now when it is time to change out your brakes, it's going to be considered an aftermarket product. Now you might not know this, but a lot of aftermarket products do not have to follow any sort of regulations or guidelines to ensure that they meet a specific safety standard. They just don't have any guideline they have to follow. So that's why we recommend that you go to GM Goodwrench when it is time to change out your brakes, because they use AC Delco Durastock brakes. The reason that that's important is AC Delco is a brand that has to follow a special certification process to ensure that their products meet what's called OE specifications, or original equipment specifications of safety. In other words, whatever your vehicle had to meet safety-wise when it first rolled off the lot brand new is now what your vehicle will meet if you have AC Delco brakes on them. So, pretty important stuff. You do see a brake job for $59.99. Well, you're going to get what you pay for. So, be sure you don't go generic with something as important as your brakes. Now, next I want to talk to you about wiper blades. When is it that we realize it's time to change out our wiper blades? When you're right in the middle of a horrific torrential downpour and you can't see 2 feet in front of you and you wish you'd switch them out on a nice sunny day. Well, GM Goodwrench recommends that you do switch out your wiper blades twice a year. The best time to do that is daylight savings time. And it's already on your list to switch your clock, so just go ahead and have it on your list to switch out your wiper blades. And just for your information, there are summer blades and winter blades. Now, in between switching out your blades, if you're not getting a really nice, clean swipe with your blade, we have a little trick for you. Just take an alcohol swab. I mean, a lot of us have these in our first aid kits at home. You just take that swab and you swipe it right down the blade. It's going to clear off any buildup of road film or road scum that's built up on there. It should clean your swipe right up until it's time to fully change out your blade. So, just a little tip for you there. Now, next I want to talk to you about your gas tank. And I want a show of hands, and I want everybody to be honest. How many of us have let our tank get below E? We're riding on fumes, praying that we make it to the gas station. I don't see a lot of hands. Okay. Honesty's a good thing. I'm raising my hand too. I've been guilty of it. Well, GM Goodwrench recommends that you don't let your tank get below a quarter tank full. And there's 2 reasons for that. The obvious reason is you don't want to run out of gas somewhere you don't know where you are, or you're 20 miles from the nearest gas station. Just not a good idea. The other reason is a more technical one. You do have an electronic fuel pump in there. If you keep it at least a quarter tank full, it will keep that pump lubricated, it will keep it cool, and it won't have to work as hard. So just try to remember, quarter tank, go ahead and fill up the tank. Now, how about your oil? For the best engine protection, you want to use the proper oil viscosity that's called for in your owner's manual. Now, what's viscosity? That's just a big fancy word for how easily the oil flows within your engine. Now, different oil weights have different additive packages, so you want to make sure that you use what your owner's manual calls for. If it calls for a 5W30, be sure you don't substitute a 10W30. Just use what it calls for, and it will protect your engine the best. Now, how about your battery? It's in the morning, and you go to crank your engine, and it's a little sluggish. We kind of instinctively think battery. So cut off your engine, pop your hood, physically take a look at your battery. Do you see any corrosion built up on there? If you do, you can just take a wire brush and just clean that right off. Also check your cables, make sure they're inserted properly and tightly. Once you've done that, just shut your hood, go back, crank your engine again. It could have fixed your problem. If it didn't, you can go visit GM Goodwrench and they will test the cranking power and life left in your battery. If it is time to change it out, they'll switch it out with an AC Delco battery, which, by the way, has an